This is not love. This is the sunk cost fallacy. Holding on because you've invested too much to let go. You don't want to fix her. Leave her. You have choices, endless ones, that won't require you to lose yourself trying to change someone else. In this guide, I will show you 5 signs and a bonus chapter. I will tell you exactly how to cut off losers and leave the toxic woman from life. So, let me just start the video and show you what not love is. You know what to do if you find them useful. Sign 1. Hot and cold behavior. Mixed signals. We've all encountered them, leaving us spinning in confusion, not knowing whether to dive in or walk away. It's a behavior that feels like an enticing dance one moment and an icy withdrawal the next, leaving you wondering if she's truly interested or just playing around. These mixed signals can come in waves. She'll shower you with attention, texting you frequently, sending signals that suggest a real connection, only to follow up with cold, distant behavior, as though you barely exist. You may find yourself waiting hours, or even days, for a response, greeted with one word, replies empty engagement, or last-minute cancellations. If this back and forth feels familiar, it's not just inconvenient, it's likely a red flag. No one is busy all day. Priority matters. Some might argue that initial hot and cold behavior is simply her way of gauging your interest. And yes, we all hesitate to appear too eager or vulnerable in the early stages. Playing a little hard to get is common and natural. It reflects the universal desire not to seem too available or desperate. But when this oscillates into extremes, hot to the point of lighting you up and cold to the point of ghosting, it's a clear sign that she's not genuinely invested. This hot and cold behavior is also a manipulative tactic. Extreme mixed signals often indicate a lack of seriousness, or worse, a need for the validation that your attention brings, rather than a desire for genuine connection. What's more, if you find she's continuously making excuses to avoid meeting up in person, whether by canceling plans, evading hangouts, or finding reasons not to spend time together in real life, this may be a way to keep you as an option without truly committing. These signs often speak louder than words. A genuine connection doesn't hinge on games, but builds on the willingness to connect honestly. Philosophically, perhaps we can consider this in terms of intention. Aristotle suggested that true friendship and love are based on mutual goodwill and honesty. The heart doesn't need to play games if it's sincere. By observing actions over words, you'll begin to discern when someone is authentically interested or merely seeking attention to fill a personal void. The truth is, if she genuinely values you, she'll make herself available, not just in convenient bursts. Real interest is consistent and seeks genuine engagement. So instead of getting caught in the web of ambiguous signals, take a step back. Value yourself enough to see that chasing someone who plays with your emotions only leads to a path of frustration and self-doubt. The energy you spend on uncertainty can be better used to find someone who reciprocates your time and intention in a real way. Sign 2. The wandering eye. Nothing is as powerful a testimony to their dedication as the fact that they are constantly directing their attention outward towards other people. It is in this light that if you find that she is constantly teasing other men on the net or in the real world, it is worth asking what this means. Light-hearted social interactions are one thing, but when flirting becomes a habit, a way to build connections that feel too familiar, or worse, intensely charged, it sends a strong message about her priorities. Constant compliments, touching, suggestive comments, or flirtatious behavior with other men often highlight a search for something outside your relationship. In truth, this level of external attention seeking suggests she might not value the bond she shares with you as much as you would hope. From a psychological angle, consistent flirting can be an indication of low self-esteem or a strong need for validation. Studies in social psychology point to social reinforcement as a factor, where individuals feel a sense of affirmation through the admiration of others. While we all want to be appreciated, there's a line between seeking validation within a relationship and looking for it elsewhere. When she's actively engaging with other men in a flirtatious manner, she may be attempting to fill an internal gap, or she might be simply unable to settle down with one person, reflecting a fear of commitment or an insatiable need for external approval. But beyond psychology, there's a philosophical consideration here too. The Stoics believed in the virtue of loyalty, a trait not just valuable, but essential to meaningful relationships. Loyalty is built on respect and a recognition of the worth of the person beside you. If someone is consistently flirting with others in front of you, or even when you're not around, this respect might be absent. A partner who isn't prioritizing respect and loyalty over fleeting attention is unlikely to offer you the stability or depth of connection that you seek in a partner. Furthermore, when you try to talk about it, if she reacts with defensiveness, insists you're controlling, or tells you that you're overreacting, she may be unwilling to confront her own behavior. Defensiveness in these conversations often signals a lack of willingness to be accountable, and without accountability, growth, both individually and within the relationship, is impossible. In the end, love is not built on shifting sands, but on trust and loyalty. A person genuinely invested in you will make you feel secure, not inadequate or anxious. Recognize when her behavior isn't about you, but reflects something within her that needs addressing. For your own peace of mind, sometimes it's better to let go than to try to change someone who isn't ready to grow. There's someone out there who will respect and value you without leaving you guessing. Sign 3. When she makes you feel inadequate. Nothing is as painful as feeling incompetent. It is even worse when the feeling is nurtured by the one we hold dear. If she's constantly insulting you, telling you that you're ugly, that you have a terrible job, or even making indirect comments about your way of life, then not only is she disrespecting you, she is attacking you personally. This behavior is not fitting for anyone that respects you as a human being, and may simply stem from the person's own issues and compulsive behavior. And if she is comparing you to past partners or suggesting how others are better, she's making your relationship a contest you can never hope to pass. To understand this behavior, social psychology has social comparison theory. Suggested by Leon Festinger in 1954, it just posits that one's worth is judged based on the rank order of one's status. If a person often makes a comparison between you and other intimate partners, then it may be because of the self-constructed beliefs. However, receiving such comments repeatedly may weaken one's morale, making him feel unworthy, regardless of the slog, alongside baseless criticism. On the theoretical level, such behavior poses questions about what is meant by respect in relationships. A healthy relationship is not one where you're always comparing the other person to someone else and finding them lacking. This is what the great philosopher Nietzsche once said. It is not love which is lacking, but friendship which creates the misery of marriage. Here, friendship can be interpreted as the basis of respect. There is a problem. It is not about bringing one another down, but rather about acknowledging the value of one other and having the interest of the other to succeed. Besides, constant humiliation makes a person develop what is called learned helplessness. Seligman used this term in the 1960s to refer to a state in which a person accepts negative treatment to the extent that the person believes it is impossible to change. In the long run, if she is constantly eroding you, you start feeling that you do not deserve anything better, which puts you in a situation where you accept what you are given, but feel resentful all the same. Always, a good partner appreciates who you are and can help you to become better without humiliating you. If she's making you feel small, it means she does not see your worth and may never will. It is not easy to walk away, but in so doing, you are creating room for someone who will build up the value you have in you, not destroy it. Sign 4. When she only wants you for what you can provide. If your connection with her seems to hinge on how much you spend or the gifts you buy, it's worth pausing to consider what's really binding the two of you. When she only shows interest in meeting up, if you're paying for fancy dinners, or if she subtly suggests that she'll make time only if you spoil her, it's not affection, but a transactional relationship. These dynamics can seem glamorous at first. Who doesn't enjoy occasional generosity? But when it's the foundation of your relationship, it shows she's drawn more to your wallet than to you. This behavior may reflect what's known as materialistic orientation, a concept studied in consumer psychology. Research by Marcia Richins and Scott Dawson in 1992 showed that people with a strong materialistic orientation tend to value possessions over personal relationships. A woman who aligns her attention with how much you spend might be embodying this mindset, placing material wealth above personal connection, which is often incompatible with a meaningful, lasting relationship. Philosophically, this behavior strays far from the concept of authentic love. Love, as described by thinkers like Erich Fromm, is about giving and receiving freely, where each person is valued for their essence, not their possessions. When someone reduces your worth to what you can provide financially, they're placing conditions on their affection, turning a personal connection into a form of barter. True love is unburdened by the need for constant validation through wealth or gifts, focusing instead on personal bonds and genuine care. An excessive focus on material gain can trigger a type of relationship imbalance, leaving one partner feeling used while the other grows more demanding. In the long run, this transactional dynamic can create resentment and frustration, as one person feels unappreciated, trapped in a cycle of endless giving without receiving true affection in return. If you're constantly feeling pressured to impress her with money and gifts, it's time to reconsider. A person who genuinely cares about you will value time spent together, regardless of where you go or how much you spend. At the core, meaningful relationships don't rely on material displays, but on consistent, mutual effort and a willingness to grow together. Letting go of someone who values your bank balance over your presence isn't easy, but it opens up the possibility of finding someone who sees and appreciates you for who you are. People do forget love if it's not backed by gifts, but if the price of attention is too high or short-lived, leave her. Sign 5. When there's no emotional investment. If your conversations with her feel stuck in the shallow end, never diving deeper than casual banter or surface-level topics, it's likely a sign of her emotional detachment. Maybe she's quick to talk about her day or plans, but when it comes to knowing you, your past, your goals, or what genuinely matters to you, she's just not curious. Real interest in a person naturally brings about a desire to understand them on a deeper level. But if she avoids exploring your inner world, chances are she's more invested in the idea of being with someone than actually connecting with you. Psychologically, this tendency might hint at what is called avoidant attachment style. People with avoidant attachment often keep emotional distance, avoiding intimacy out of discomfort or fear. Studies in developmental psychology, particularly those by Mary Ainsworth in the 1970s, highlight that people with this attachment style may appear warm on the surface, yet retreat emotionally when relationships grow more serious. If she's not diving deeper, she might be holding herself back, intentionally or not, as a way to maintain emotional distance. From a philosophical perspective, Plato emphasized that love is the pursuit of the whole, meaning true connection requires mutual discovery and vulnerability. A person genuinely interested in you seeks more than fleeting attention. They seek understanding. If she's not asking about your family, values, or dreams, she might not see you as a significant part of her future. She could be avoiding intimacy because she doesn't want a serious commitment, or she might simply enjoy the attention without feeling the need to reciprocate emotionally. Another layer to this behavior is the ego boost dynamic. Some people, consciously or unconsciously, enjoy being pursued because it affirms their desirability. This might explain why she enjoys the surface-level connection. Your interest fuels her self-worth without requiring her to invest deeper feelings. Unfortunately, this dynamic often leads to a one-sided connection where only one person is truly invested, leaving the other feeling unseen. Recognize that a relationship without mutual emotional investment isn't truly a relationship. It's a holding pattern, keeping you around without the promise of growth or future. If she doesn't show genuine curiosity about who you are, it's time to seek someone who will. Emotional intimacy forms the bedrock of lasting relationships, and it requires two people willing to peel back the layers. Only then can you build a connection that isn't just surface, but rooted in understanding, shared values, and real affection. 6. Learning from the red flag. In the end, it all comes down to what love truly is: a connection that seeks depth, respect, and mutual growth. Relationships that drain, diminish, or manipulate often teach us more about what we truly need than any idealized notion of love. Each of the red flags, hot and cold behavior, flirting with others, making you feel inadequate, only wanting you for what you provide, and lack of emotional investment, paints a clear picture of what love isn't. If you've spotted these signs, know that it isn't a reflection of your worth, but rather a mismatch in values and intentions. Relationships are spaces where both partners should feel valued and seen, without the need for games or pretense. Philosopher Khalil Gibran once said, "Let there be spaces in your togetherness," highlighting the importance of preserving one's own dignity and self-worth, even within a relationship. Psychologically, enduring these behaviors can lead to a cycle of self-doubt and insecurity, especially when your worth seems to hinge on how much you can provide or how hard you chase. Building self-awareness and setting clear boundaries can help protect you from falling into these traps. Boundaries allow you to love fully while also safeguarding your peace and well-being. Let this chapter be a reminder that real affection doesn't ask you to chase, to change, or to prove your value. It arrives when two people, grounded in self-worth and mutual respect, find each other and grow together, not from a place of need, but from a place of choice.